Hello, everyone. Welcome to Film Seizure. I am one of your three hosts, Jason Oliver. Joining me, as always, are my other two hosts, one of which, his name is Charles Moore. Charles, say hello.
Hello, everyone. How are you today? My name is Charles Moore.
And then the other guy is Jeffrey Arbuckle. Say hello, Jeffrey.
Hello, this is Jeffrey Robert Arbuckle signing in to this new episode of the Film Seizure.
Good stuff. And this week's Film Seizure is brought to you by the credit music of The Iron Chef. It is 1991's Backdraft. Directed by Ron Howard. I think this is our only Ron Howard movie that we have covered on the podcast.
He was in American Graffiti.
True.
But I don't think we've covered any of his direct. Right.
That's kind of weird. That seems kind of weird.
Yeah, that does seem kind of weird.
Is this two straight Scott Glenn movies?
Yes, it is.
That's weird. Because I don't think we covered him at all before.
Yes, we have. Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, yeah.
He's Jack Crawford.
He's kind of unrecognizable as Scott Glenn in that for some reason.
Because he puts on little wireframe circular glasses.
His Clark Kent glasses and I think the wiry hair, maybe slick back hair.
Anyway. I think I told you I always think he's somebody else. I never am like, that's Scott Glenn. I'm always like, that's this dude. But it's not.
Well, I chose this movie because I hadn't seen it in a long time. I just recently picked it up on UHD. I thought it would look very pretty in 4K UHD, and it does. I remember liking this movie a whole ton when I was younger. Lots did I like this movie. In fact, I liked this movie so much that it inspired the first real career I thought I would want to pursue, and that would be in forensic science.
Interesting. So not even firefighting.
No, science. Fire science. Yeah, the Robert De Niro
Forensic.
I wanted to be the Robert De Niro character because I thought that was the coolest job. It is pretty cool, and he's the best character in this movie, I think.
I think so too.
He's a very interesting guy in this because he comes in, he's very, very Robert De Niro. And yet he's a scientist.
Were you not? Did you or did you not realize you're standing at a puddle of gasoline? Or I can't remember. There's a lake of gasoline. He says it twice.
Was that before or after you realized you were standing in?
Yes, in a lake of gasoline. Yes, he said that 2 times. It's very much like the I gave you a chance and you blew it moment in Copland, where De Niro is just being De Niro.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question then, because I'm guessing you haven't seen this in a long time, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. It probably hasn't been decades long, but it's been a while.
But were you standing at the door waiting to see if you got blown up when you opened it? Because I was. I had a similar love for this movie when I was younger. And I was like, I don't know. This is so 90s. I don't know what I'm going to think about this now. And I think there was a smoldering smoke in there when I... Go ahead.
It's a little warm to the touch. The door is. I will say this out of the gate. It is not as good as I remembered it to be. Okay. But I still enjoy it for what it is. And I really enjoy looking at this movie because we just don't see movies that look like this anymore with live fire and visual effects around fire that actually look like fire. We just don't see it anymore. I don't see explosions in movies anymore that look like explosions. It all looks fake because it is. And man, I love the audacity of this movie to just go for it with so much big epic fire stuff, live burns everywhere. It's pretty impressive from a technical standpoint and a cinematic standpoint. I think still
I'm pretty sure Ron Howard directed it in a burn suit, he was on fire the entire time.
Everything is on fire.
Even the dramatic scenes outside of the fire scenes, he was still in his full fire hazmat. Yeah.
No, he's just on fire. He's just on fire.
He's shooting the scenes between the two brothers on the boat. Yeah, and he's like he's still like smoldering and in his suit.
For me, it's graduated from on the edge of your seat, like good action drama, to sitting back in your seat, semi chuckling,
sure,
at the weirdness, and still enjoying the ride kind of movie.
Yeah, I mean, this is so. I kind of sent this message to Jason. Remember back when we talked about summer movies? I said I used to like name my favorite or my summer movie Oscars every year.
Yeah,
this was the winner in 1991. It beat out Terminator 2.
What?
Wow!
Because I, in a way, kind of took it a little bit more serious because it was more of a drama. It's not, it's
possible.
I would have a different opinion of that today, but, no, it's.
When I saw Terminator 2 that summer, it was, because that was one, I think, but saw it before this, I want to say. Because I don't think I saw this in the theater, believe it or not.
I did. I actually saw it at Cinemark. I didn't see it in the first run. I saw it on like Dollar Tuesday night or whatever.
Well, Terminator 2 broke my brain when I saw it as a kid. Like, this movie I liked a whole lot, but it's no Terminator 2.
This movie probably because it doesn't attempt the space aspect of, like Terminator 2 is very ambitious, right?
Sure.
But this movie looks way better. Because I've watched both within the last year, and this movie does look a lot better.
Well, some of that might be bad 4K transfer.
Maybe,
like Cameron's 4K movies look like dog shit.
Yeah,
so
I can't ever watch that fucking AI upscale Cameron bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know if I did watch it last time I watched it, but yeah, I mean, it's still good. But
sure,
yeah.
I saw last time I saw Terminator 2, I think I saw it in the theater when they reissued the 3D version.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That looked pretty okay.
I saw it at IMAX in 70 millimeter. That looked really cool.
I bet that did look good.
That was 25 years ago or more.
Anyway, we're not talking about Terminator 2. We've already done that episode.
Yeah, we've already done that one. But no, this one is, I mean, I'm glad you said it so I didn't have to, like there's a lot of money exchanging hands that they did not bet on me saying, or they didn't bet on you saying that it doesn't look like movies do anymore. Yeah. But it does.
I took that one.
It is. Part of it is that era, because I mean, I'm sure part of it was the stock of film that they had in the early 90s. The orangeness of it, like I feel like people don't like. I don't see orange like this movie anymore.
Yeah.
It was a lot in the 90s, like Fifth Element and stuff. Sorry, you're just reminding me of how orange the 90s were.
Orange and blue are the two main colors of posters, but anymore, like it's not quite there's a warmth to this that makes that film look a whole lot different than what you would see if it was digitized.
Yeah, there's been this move to the 90s, I think, late 90s kind of started it, but blues and greens.
Yeah,
it feels like way too many movies look blue and green anymore. You're right. They don't really feel and look as warm as no real pun intended there, as warm as this movie does.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's admittedly, like in some of my, I kind of have a little fun with my notes that I did take on this, but like there is a certain style of melodrama that this movie follows that a lot of movies in the 90s, not so much in the 80s, but 90s and aughts really kind of followed with, which was here's a group of guys that are all part of a specific lifestyle or whatever, and they all have their terminology, and we're supposed to understand exactly what it means. And it's going to be a little clunky as they try to tell us what a backdraft is when the guy they're telling it to absolutely should know what a backdraft is. So, it's like you see that all the time. It's like, how many movies do you see of a bunch of Air Force guys talking about certain things in their planes. And it's like, that sounds fucking cool, but it means nothing to the layman, and it's like this, it's that same kind of idea, right? It's that same, these guys are real crack ups. These guys, they're hosing each other down when they're talking to ladies. They're getting fucking ripped at the Irish pub before they go run off to a fire. This is the way these guys live. I'm sure of it.
I don't think the guys that are responding to the fire were at the pub, but
no,
fair.
but all the newly graduated
They
guys they went to the fire and they were fucking ripped and they were gassing each other
in the way and everything.
Yeah.
It's
like, people are dying here, guy. It's like, why don't you go someplace else until we need your face to be melted off? Okay.
Fair enough. Person is dead, but when they get there. We just covered Kind Hearts and Coronets, right? And we have a little bit of Kurt Russell, Kind Hearts and Coronets in this. He plays 2 roles.
They couldn't be more different, these 2 roles.
No. One has a mustache.
What's kind of funny is I actually, when that scene happened, I was like, wait a minute. No, he comes back, right?
The same thing I told
long
Steph.
enough to I was like, wait a minute. Did they just pull a reverse executive decision on Kurt Russell in this movie?
Yeah. Steph was like, this is just like Scream, Chuck. And I'm like, oh, shut up.
Oh, man. That's good.
Yeah.
You know who I like seeing in a good performance? Rebecca De Mornay.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
She's very good in this movie. I think B is just fine.
Oh,
she's very nice to look at.
Yes. I was going to say she's very pretty in this.
Sometimes her hair makes her look like Kelly Preston. It's weird. But Rebecca De Mornay puts in a really good performance.
She had a pretty good run in the night. Like, even Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Yeah.
She was good in.
Very
I don't know if that movie's good, but she's good in it.
Good.
She is good in it. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember the overall quality of the movie, but she was terrifying.
That's one to revisit, I think, because Curtis Hanson directed that.
Mm-hmm.
She's good.
Man, Curtis Hanson's got a thing for blondes, doesn't he?
I mean, I would probably cast a lot of blondes. Jennifer Jason Leigh, even though my wife is a brunette, Jennifer Jason Leigh, she's weird a lot. She's weird in this.
Another one, she follows this up with Single White Female. That's one we should revisit.
That one is a perfect cast for her.
For her, yeah.
Because she is weird.
Yeah, there are times where she says certain lines where it sounds like she's not entirely sure that she wants to say what she's saying.
And it's like, is the script right?
Or whatever, yeah. But it's like, it sounds just like Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like these 9 years haven't gone anywhere. It's like,
but then I agree with that. She's like somewhere in between her Fast Times, Ridgemont High, like unsure delivery, and then almost right on the edge of just going over the top with it and doing her character from Hudsucker Proxy, right?
Sure.
Or Fargo, more recently, the TV show. Yeah.
So yeah, it is an odd performance from her.
But at the same time, it's like more what I was thinking of was that, she just still sounds like a teenager at times, where it's like, I maybe it's because I like Fast Times at Ridgemont High so much and I like her character in that so much. I can't, it's hard to see her and not immediately think that.
Yeah. And what was 9 years
the cast is good in this.
Yeah.
Like William Baldwin, not a good actor, but he's good in this.
He is. There's a couple moments where I was a little like, oh boy, Billy's being Billy here.
Yeah, Billy'd out.
Yeah, I got a little Billy'd out. But yeah, I agree. I thought that the same thought at one point. I was like, man, they actually got this role, the casting right for once for Billy Baldwin. Like, this movie this works, and he works in this role. Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
Because man, I just watched Sliver. Oh God, he's so bad in that.
I mean, he's not a good actor.
I dare you guys to watch Fair Game with Cindy Crawford. Dare you. There is one of the funniest moments in film that happens, and it's not supposed to be funny, but oh my God. I mean,
is it as funny as John Travolta hanging from scaffolding and then cutting to...
No, it's funny. It's funnier than that because in a way, there is a little bit of backdraftiness to it.
Oh, shit.
Explosion that sends
the Christy,
that sends
Cindy Crawford
like a fucking cartoon flying off of like a balcony. It's hilarious.
I know we're gonna get to it as we talk about this movie, but one of my favorite dummy moments maybe of all time in a film is in this movie because I did not remember that it was a dummy, and I was like, oh, this is really bad.
I know what you're
this is really bad. And I'm like, oh shit, it is a dummy.
I know, it got me too. And I was like, "Oh, that's good."
Well, I remember. I mean, I remember that, but
it's meant not to be.
Yeah, but no dummy is as good as the one in what was that one Italian flick we did, Jason, where the head came off of it when it fell fell over a railing.
Yeah, what was that?
I'm sure I've seen it, but I can't remember.
I'll work on that. You guys go ahead.
Oh man.
All right, Jason, set us up, buddy.
In this movie? So we've got Kurt Russell obviously in this movie, Donald Sutherland as well. We'll talk about his character in a little bit of detail later.
I almost spit up my drink.
We mentioned Robert De Niro. It's a hell of a cast. This is a hell of a cast. Directed by Ron Howard. He made this the year before he made Far and Away, I think.
Yes. That's a good one too.
I like that movie. In fact, it was kind of funny. I was putting this movie on, and I was watching the first 15 minutes of Backdraft.
Shocking Dark, Jason. That was the movie.
Yeah, Shocking Dark. That's
I have that one.
That's the Terminator 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny. That movie. Watch that right after you watch Aliens in particular. And you will have a really fun time because what's her name? Garetta.
Oh yeah.
Character. Like she's doing a Chavez impersonation in that, and it's so funny. Oh my gosh. Anyway, best Ron Howard movie. What is it? What's your favorite?
Best Ron Howard movie? Shit.
Yeah.
I got to get to his movies first.
It's kind of funny because I hadn't really seen much of his movies in a long time.
Gung Ho.
Oh yeah, I figured that. Yeah,
Michael Keaton one. Is that Michael Keaton?
Yes,
yeah,
it's Michael Keaton.
That is a good one.
I didn't even know Ron Howard directed that. That's hilarious.
I mean, he's done quite good ones. Not many in the last 10 years though.
I might have to say, Parenthood. I think might be his best.
Ransom was good when it came out, but that's Mel Gibson. Maybe Willow?
Cinderella Man was good.
Yeah, Cinderella Man was good.
Cocoon was fucking awesome.
Beautiful Mind, I don't think I've seen since it won Best Picture. Like, it's been that long. I have no idea if that holds up or not.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Ransom, yeah.
I really liked Willow.
Apollo 13 is a good movie.
Apollo 13, that's another movie that it has a real look to it, even though that is a lot of green screen. Yeah. But again, that is probably helped again by seeing it on film. You know,
that Universal Pictures run is pretty good.
That's a pretty good run.
Yeah.
Although I don't remember The Paper. Was that Mel Gibson?
No, that was Michael Keaton.
Oh, Michael Keaton.
Again.
Okay,
it's another
thank
great
you.
cast.
Yeah, that's a really good cast.
I don't think I've ever saw The Paper though.
I remember when it came out, but I didn't see it.
Ron Howard, you are great.
Mad Mortigan, you really are great. I almost said that a minute ago, damn it.
That's hilarious. Anyway, all right. So there's a little Ron Howard for you. We'll probably get around to a couple of those, I would imagine, one day.
Splash is good too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least what I remember of it. I
don't remember it very well.
Not to belabor this, but many of his movies I've seen once.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so that says something.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but anyway, go ahead. He invented Grand Theft Auto. I know that.
All of it, the entire concept, everything. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so what is Backdraft? So Backdraft, two brothers have a father who's a firefighter, and
It's the secret origin of Christian and Luke McCaffrey.
Yes.
Yes.
And the dad is played by Kurt Russell, and he takes younger son Billy Baldwin to the fire that he's going on. And he lets him ride in a truck. He puts a hat on him and everything. It's all like,
And normally he takes the older.
Yeah, normally takes the older one, but this day he's given more attention to his younger son, and it's bring Billy Baldwin to work day. And of course, it's a bad fire, and
Well, there is no such thing as a small fire in Chicago, is what this movie has taught me.
Because it's Chicago, and there are several happening at the same time every day.
Always. Yep. And they're just like half that town is exploding at all times. Today it's one half, tomorrow's the other half.
It's like if you're a factory in Chicago,
you're fucked.
Your time is numbered. Yeah,
that's why
your day
Minneapolis is a few degrees warmer than it should be all the time, because Chicago's always on fire.
Always on fire. Always on fire.
Getting that backdraft heat. Yeah.
You drive if you're not careful when you drive into Chicago, you might get blown all the way out back into Gary because it's all just the whole city's a backdraft.
You got to check the temperature at the toll.
At the toll, it's like, I don't know, guys, it's a little warm.
Quarter in.
Well, now they've tricked you. It's like the alderman's really got you by the balls now, because it's just taking pictures of your license plate. You can just drive right through. You're screwed.
Yeah, true.
It's really got you by the balls. There's a moment in this movie where it's like the firefighters' benefit, right?
Yeah.
And there's Irish step dancers and Irish music, and Susan's like, "Why the hell would there be Irish step dancers at this event?" And I was like, "Susan, I did my like slow turn." I said, "Susan, it's firefighters in Chicago."
Yeah, it's like, look at everybody's name in this goddamn movie. They're Irish as hell.
Hey, it's McCaffrey. That was not Irish. I don't know what I just did, but go ahead.
I don't know what that was. Yeah, I imitated it. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Kurt Russell, dad, he dies in the fire while his son watches the building explode, essentially, with his dad who had just gone in the window, and is like, yeah, that's pretty scary stuff. Kid is distressed, and a photographer happens to be there and takes his picture, and it's sort of like a, reminiscent of that guy who doesn't believe in vaccines. Wasn't he RFK Jr., the famous photo?
Oh God,
no,
yes.
No, that was JFK Jr.
Was it?
When he was saluting his dad.
Okay, better then. So it's kind of reminiscent of that, right? It's a kid, he's looking up, and he's just seen his father.
And he's holding his helmet because the helmet blew out.
He's holding the helmet, yeah. Well, he was wearing a helmet, I think, and it fell off his head, I think is what it was. But anyway, it becomes a Pulitzer Prize winning photo. He's on like cover of Time, but then it fast forwards and you're seeing that same character again, and he's celebrating at a bar that he's just passed his firefighter classes.
Yeah, he went to fire academy, much like police academy.
Does it say like 20 years later or something?
20 years later.
Yes.
It is 20 years later.
Yeah. So it's a little odd. It's like, well, if it's the same guy, why is he just now passing his fire?
Well, he's a little bit of a screw about.
But then, you kind of figure out that he's been a little bit wayward for the last 6-7 years or so. Hasn't really figured out what he's going to do with his life. I think he's bankrupted a couple businesses. But he has really good buddies that he must have met in the Firefighters Academy with the guy from Iron Eagle. It's like, where's Louis Gossett Jr.? He should be in this movie. But
he's
that is something that's kind of missing, right? Like a Lou Gossett or a
Chicago's way too white in this movie.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, like I could have gone for a Lou Gossett.
There's a little diversity, but it's pretty much, pushed to the sides. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the Irish community only. Yeah.
Man, could you imagine James Earl Jones on that fucking fire engine with him? That'd be great.
Oh man, that would look epic too.
Yeah.
I'd be like James Earl Jones is gonna put out that fire.
Fire is my favorite thing.
With his voice,
he's gonna talk at it.
He just talks at it. Yeah.
You will go down, fire. Put thyself out.
But yeah, we learn a lot of things in this scene. We learn about Tim, his buddy, who's the most excited to be a firefighter that I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God. And it's like instantly you meet him. It's like that guy is going to have a terrible thing happen to him.
Yeah, most certainly. It's like, yes, there's no way.
Again, he's going to get his face melted off. Yeah.
And then you learn about him being kind of a fuck up, and has been away for a long time.
Jennifer Jason Leigh's grandma yells at him in Polish.
Right. And
I'm pretty sure it's Polish.
And then you get the time lapse of understanding that she hasn't seen him in 6 years because he left. They were
he just
together.
Fucked off. Yeah.
Yeah. They all go to the fire. That happens because they're drunk.
Well, one thing that happens, they're all celebrating their assignments at the thing. And he said he already knows which firehouse he went to because he sent a case of scotch to the guy who controls all of that. Yeah. So one of my notes was, what's the cost of a case of scotch?
In 1991, it does definitely depend on the scotch. If it's a case is what, 12 bottles?
I would think so.
It's probably, I would guess like $250.
If it's J&B today, it would be, probably about $250.
Yeah, and if he bought him J&B, like whoever that guy is now in Italy and like probably been murdered by someone,
but with black
solving
gloves.
Crimes. Yeah,
this movie's a little bit of
probably even cheaper. It's probably more like $15 a bottle, and a case is probably like more like 10 a bottle. So it's probably more like $120, $150. Yeah.
This movie does have that.
It's a little giallo. There's a little giallo to this.
Oh, I totally agree. I that's another thing that popped in my head that I had written in my notes that my cat vomited on. But anyway, then you find out what is it? Oh yeah, so they go to the fire, and who's at the fire it's Kurt Russell. And they're like, oh, Kurt Russell's alive.
He shaved, but he's still alive.
And then the mustache got blown off by the explosion.
Yeah,
yes, sure. Yeah, I can't no longer grow facial hair. But no, you find out it's bigger brother, and now you have the whole picture. It's the McCaffreys, older brother, little brother, and older brother is giving him shit because he doesn't really have much faith in his little brother. He's left. He dropped out of the fireman's school, like probably 10 years ago or something like that, and never returned.
I think he reminds him a little of his dad, maybe, and he doesn't want to lose him to a fire like he lost.
His dad. You find that.
I mean, that kind of seems.
I don't know.
I guess
I don't know that right off the bat, right?
I guess.
I mean, I certainly do think he sees a lot of his father in Kurt Russell.
I meant the other way around, though. Yes. The protection that he's exhibiting by being a fucking
a little bit
prick.
And imagine a mustache. He looks just like my dad.
He goes up to him at one point with a little marker.
Sharpie's on a mustache when he's asleep.
There you are, Dad.
So we could see his dad again, yeah.
Oh my God. You guys are treating this movie with the utmost respect.
Oh my God. Well, it's melodrama, right?
I'm joking.
But anyway, you find out that that bigger bro, he heard about the bribe. And he said, "No, you're clocking in tomorrow morning at fire station Firehouse 17 with me, so I can keep an eye on you, so you don't get anybody killed, essentially, right?" And that's also where Buddy Tim was excited to be stationed because they apparently get like all the big fires.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they definitely do in this movie.
Yeah. Well, and we should also mention like that. So like while they're celebrating all the stuff going on, we do cut away to where the fire is going to be. And a guy is coming home from work and he opens the door and it explodes on him. And that's what a backdraft is. It's setting a fire to almost it's a fire that kind of control burns to the point where it gets trapped to the point that the moment that an inrush of oxygen happens, it explodes outwards. Is the way I think they kind of basically say it. It's, it's basically, it's waiting to explode the moment it gets more air.
Yeah. But it's odd because, they get there and nothing's really on fire. Like the fire blew itself out. The backdraft did. But there's a guy who's like burnt to a crisp who's sticking outside of the front windshield of his car parked on the street. But we see that guy get blown from the doorstep as he's entering the house into that car. But they kind of figure that, all right, well, he got probably killed by the fire. He's all burned up. But it's like, what the fuck happened here?
I mean, right? Robert De Niro practically lights a cigarette off of that guy's charred body. It's still smoking. Yeah, and it's like,
God. Oh my God, the scene with those two and Clint Howard.
Yes, that's good stuff.
Oh, that's good stuff. But anyway, he goes in, and that's where you meet him. And he and Steven, that's the older, isn't he? I thought the older one.
No, Steven's older. Brian's younger.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. You're right.
So you get to so you see that De Niro and Steven know each other, and De Niro's doing his forensic investigation to try and figure out what started the fire, and he's not sure. He's like, it could be arson, it might be arson, but he can find no like telltale signs that it's arson. And then I think at this same moment, do we see the alderman as well, or is that later?
No, he comes to tomorrow's fire.
But there is talk of
the fire of the day.
Right.
The fire du jour.
There has been conversation around how Alderman Swayzak has cut back money and closed down fire stations for community shelters,
so you get the first hint. You get the first hint that he is fucking with the fireman community, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
none too pleased with him.
Well, right. Yeah, because they have to fight bigger. They have to fight bigger fires alone more often.
They don't have backup at this one.
That's tomorrow's.
That's tomorrow's fire.
That's right.
This one there is no fire.
Stephen confronts the alderman in person.
Yeah.
Which this is great. Like tomorrow is a great day. Like Steven tells the brother, like, don't be late. Of course he's fucking late because his car won't start.
Or
like cat, almost to the point.
He was getting chased by Jason Voorhees or something.
Yeah. Chased by Jason Voorhees.
It's almost like, I mean, our eventual bad guy must have gone in and snipped some wires or something in the car to make him not show up on time. Like always messing with everything at this.
Yeah.
Like if it's in the script, I'm messing with it.
Yeah.
At least he didn't cut the brake lines. Like that would have ended our movie real fast.
But maybe he did on the L train that Brian lives right next to.
You're right.
Sending that shit right off into the sunset, off to the lake.
But Brian is late. He's obviously, as he gets to the station, he's running all sweaty, Brian like, and the truck 17 and truck 46, I think, are leaving for another fire, the fire du jour today, which is actually a really great scene.
This is a good scene. I mean, this is all that stuff that Jason talked about. Like, God damn, like. You wonder, it's like, how safe was this exactly? Because you are seeing fire right next to Kurt Russell, William Baldwin, Scott Glenn, they're all like right there. Yeah, I mean, it's.
I wonder how much of that is like movie magic and like perception of how they make people taller or smaller or closer or farther away. But it is.
There could be
you feel like you're in the fire.
Yeah, I mean, there could very easily be like the wall is on fire, 40 feet behind the actors, but there's like a short, like the lens is shortening the way that distance.
But it's still good. Do you want to talk about the scene? I'm terrible at describing the scenes.
So, I mean, the one thing
about it real fast too is the use of slow motion in these scenes are not like overly done. They're overdone later when they're drinking out of fire hoses and stuff. But
no, that's just some Top Gun business there.
when they're having their Bruce Hornsby training montage.
Oh my god!
But with the fire scenes, they the way they kind of you move in and out of slow motion with showing the fire is just very, very cool.
Yeah,
I mean, the way they use reverse
liquid at times. Yeah,
the way they use reverse doesn't look unnatural. You're like, okay, that looked real. The way the fire or the
like
smoke
sucks into the wall,
back into the wall, or whatever.
Yeah. So like the first thing that happens when they get there, they find some asshole parked in front of the fire hydrant, so they have to bust that guy's window clean open. And much to Billy Baldwin's surprise and glee, a little bit of glee, but a lot of surprise. But they go in and, I mean, the whole place is just, I mean, it's fire apocalypse here. Yeah. I mean, and it's just, the whole thing is like falling apart around them. Like the floors are caving in on them. We get the first instance of like, it's like firemen are going to protect each other before they protect the building, which is, it's that brotherhood thing, right? It's the idea that, we can't just let one of our guys die because we're too busy saving the building.
Right.
Which, that's kind of cool. Like, I mean, you can replace the building.
And there's kind of a code of, no man left behind. Or
you go, we go, we all go.
We go. Right.
Yeah. But there is the whole Steven saying, Brian, stick to my hip. Basically.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, he's still probationary.
He's still probationary, and he's his little brother. Like, this is more clues about him worrying about him dying on the job.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
No, so but you also see that Kurt Russell is so damn cool. He doesn't wear that oxygen mask. Oh wait, no, that's just insanity. He's insane. Because they even bring that up later. It's like, what is his deal, man? It's like he's not even wearing oxygen. It's like, I have you guys been in a burning building?
I've been in a room that's filled with smoke. Yes, and it is. I
have too.
And it is
impossible to breathe.
And impossible to breathe. Yeah,
I've been in a burning city.
It's awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've literally been in a burning city where embers are coming down, but not in a physical building.
Not like in an enclosed building. Yeah. It's, my one big hero moment of my life was to go into a burning building and, make sure that this little girl got out. My neighbor.
God, what was that?
That was my neighbor at when Amy and I were married. Our neighbor's apartment had a electrical fire.
Jeez.
And I had the 911 person's like, you're gonna have to go in until firemen get there. And so I did, and it was impossible to breathe. And
it's interesting that they told you that. I wonder,
for 12 hours my eyes were watering. So
did you you got medical treatment, I hope?
No.
Did you get any oxygen or anything?
Nah, I'm a tough guy.
Shit out of that.
Yeah, I did.
I pulled a girl.
Call me Bull.
I pulled a girl out of a bonfire on the beach in San Diego, and she had like very, very bad burns afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean,
so I probably saved her from something worse, but
you're a hero too. Good job.
We're all here. I mean, we're talking about fire here. Same people from fire.
Kurt Russell is fuck you guys. It's amazing.
He would have Scott Glenn toast us, and then everybody tells fuck you.
I'm sorry, Jason, that you're the one that frees and Jeff and I go into action.
I guess so. Yeah. I guess so. I haven't been lucky enough to be put in a
you don't want to be in those scenarios.
situation.
You don't want to be in those scenarios. I've been in 3 and they're not fun.
I had my life saved once, or at least almost saved from being like completely mangled and broken.
Really?
Yeah, I almost fell down a manhole in like a 3-storied barn, and like it's like basically there are holes in the floor of this barn that are there so you can like throw stuff down easily, down the holes so they get down.
Probably like hay and stuff like that.
Hay bale, stuff like that. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well, one of these manholes wasn't secured, and when I stepped on it, it did the classic like flip thing.
Ooh.
And I
Yeah.
started going down it, and my buddy behind me, like I was going down. He grabbed me, like bare chest me, and pulled me back as I was starting to slip. It was fucking scary.
Yeah. But that reminds me of one thing during the Festival of Lights in New York City. There were 4 of us in the back seat of the car, my 2 brothers and my cousin Chad, and I leaned on the door, and we're probably going 40 or 50 miles an hour down the road, and the door like popped open, and I started to fall out of the car, and my cousin grabbed me and pulled me back in.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
I had a little skin. I skinned my knee a little bit because that's how far out I got. Yeah.
Ooh, that's scary.
Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, it would have been, at least a 20-foot drop probably.
Yeah, broken legs for sure.
I mean, it would have been bad regardless. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So
You're not like prepared to jump. Like people can jump 20 feet and be fine if they know how to fall or right,
roll or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been just.
Listeners, send us your worst, almost maimed death experiences, or if you saved someone.
Did you save someone, or did someone save you? We want to hear.
Did you ever just decide that if you're gonna die laughing as your friend claws at his face to pull a plastic bag off of it when you're driving in his convertible?
Oh,
it's in that message too.
That is just so funny.
Where'd that bag go?
So yes, if you have a Kurt Russell in your life, or you were the Kurt Russell in your life, let us know.
Yes, I really am curious about this. Okay, fires licking people's faces. Let's go.
Yeah. So basically, Billy Baldwin hears somebody yelling for help. And so he decides to go. He's going to be the big hero. He's going to be a Stephen McCaffrey. And he goes and he comes out of the window. It's a big swell of score, and it's a big heroic moment. And he saved a lady. He comes down. He tries to find out if she's going to be okay. And what happens, Chuck?
It's so good because he's coming down the stairs. I'm like, and the way they do it is totally to fool you, obviously, because it looks heavy. Yeah. Right as he's carrying it. But when he gets down the stairs, you're like, that is a terrible dummy he's carrying. Like, that was my thought. Like, they couldn't have done better with fooling us. And then it turns out he actually rescued a fucking dummy, which is hilarious. Like, everyone on the ground makes fun of him, and he's like, oh, I'm a fucking idiot. And then he starts throwing up on the.
Yeah. And, but Tim did save the woman who was yelling for help.
Yes.
That because she's there while
unless
everybody's
another
laughing
woman in there died.
No, maybe. I mean, who knows? I mean, the number of people who die in fires in Chicago is immense in this movie.
It's a lot. I mean, when there's arsonists around, fires happen, man.
I guess,
True.
man. I mean, it seems like half the population of Chicago is an arsonist.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Tim actually did save the girl, but Billy, he didn't see the he couldn't see that well, I guess, and he saved the mannequin instead.
Oh my God, it's hilarious.
But they do eventually put out the fire. Now the problem was that they were lone wolves in this case. because typically there would have been 2 or 3 stations responding as backup, because that was how big the fire was. It was like an entire warehouse that was up. I mean, one truck of like 8 guys ain't going to put this thing out.
No.
And I mean, they barely do. Now, Steven he's hot. he's mad at his brother because he didn't stick by him, even though Brian thought I was doing the right thing. You know, I was trying to do the right thing. And also Steven is insane. I don't know if I want to stick next to him, but that's beside the point. And then he's mad when the alderman shows up to congratulate these guys for putting out the fire, because they could have had somebody die.
And they've had people die.
Right. And it's like, when there's not enough firemen, fires are going to kill firemen when there's not enough blasting the hoses at it, you know. Right. So
it's like playing 7 and 11 in a football game, 7 versus 11, or
right. Yeah.
And that's the great JT Walsh.
Yep. JT Walsh is here as the alderman, Swayzak.
Is there a scene here too where the alderman is asking De Niro about the cause of the fire
that killed the other guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, and De Niro's like, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm still trying to figure. It's like, it might be arson. I don't have. Well, which is funny because he calls him, because the alderman goes up and it's like, hey, Donnie or whatever, do you have the answer? And he's like, well, Marty, no, I don't. And he's like, he kind of gives it back to him a little, because he's like, Donnie. He's like, what? So yeah, and it's like he's getting pressure from him to close the case. And it's like, well, it could be arson. You don't want an arsonist running around, basically. It's like, I can't just close a case. But it's Alderman Swayzak trying to cover up the fact that he doesn't want to look bad for there being fires that are difficult to investigate or put out because of what he's done.
But it also sets him up as the bad guy a little bit in this moment. So, I mean, JT Walsh, like, you see him, you're like, hey, he's a bad guy. But but it does kind of set him up as the potential bad guy, because you know something nefarious is going on.
Well, he certainly is overly. Yeah. Well, I mean, we certainly know that from seeing a guy get blown through his windshield.
That's not a natural fire.
That's not. Yeah. That's. Yeah. And we have. Those are the only fires we see start. Technically, right? It's like we see the calm before the explosion on all of those.
Yeah.
Fires. The other ones, they just show up because the building is on fire. They're doing what they're due, you know.
Right.
But they, so anyway, so they, this is also, Brian also discovers that Jennifer Jason Leigh playing Jennifer. that's thanks for helping us out, because we're not always the best at that
too in this.
Right.
Man, JT Walsh and Kurt Russell have been in several movies together, which is very odd.
But yeah, we find out that Jennifer works for the alderman.
Yep.
So they so he's a little bit about that, because it's like he's now again being pulled in different directions. One,
this
by
is
his
the
brother.
job you talked to me about. She's like, yeah, it's great. Peace.
Yeah, because she wants him later. She like he kind of wants the alderman wants the photo op with the kid from the Time Life picture. And he also thinks it would be good for optics if he went to work for the alderman, essentially. And Jennifer's the one who's kind of sent to recruit him.
Yeah, we've already seen that Big Brother hates the guy, so if he can get one McCaffrey on his side, it will help balance his image. Yeah.
Plus, he has the kid who's on the cover, like, of a Pulitzer Prize winning picture.
Yeah. It's the whole optics thing. It's the politics, right? And that's what he's playing.
But he's not interested. Brian is not interested.
No, because he says that, he tells his brother Stephen that he's not going to quit. He's going to do this. It's like, because Stephen expects him to quit any day. Because that's what he knows of his brother. I mean, he didn't. It's not like either of these guys took the death of their father all that well.
But you kind of learn through that montage too, which is coming right now, which is hilarious. But does anyone want to talk about the montage, or should we just get to the end of it?
I mean,
it's
just really silly.
It's classic. It's classic melodrama montage too.
Yeah. It's a little bit like the 90s holding on to the 80s.
Kind of.
It is. Yeah. But at the end of it, Brian is like, Steven, roll these hoses. And he's like, you can't expect anyone to do that alone. And he's like, no.
Well, they race to the top of the building. That's like at the.
So you do want to talk about the montage,
yeah? But that's the before.
Right.
He tells them to do that. They have an argument about it because Billy Baldwin. Then Billy Baldwin, when he has to wrap up the hoses, he's like, oh well, next time I'll just let you win. So maybe he won't treat me like crap because Billy Baldwin got to the top of the roof first.
Or why isn't the other guy, the other candidate who loves being at Engine 17, like helping me?
Right.
Because he's a candidate too.
Yeah.
And that's another clue, right? Like, he really is trying to get him to quit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, for one reason or other, whether because he is a quitter, for sure, or he buries his businesses and quits. Like, Brian has never seen anything through, really. Go ahead, Jason.
And yeah, exactly right. You don't honestly kind of blame him because if he is the fuck up that he has been and that he's perceived as, he's going to get himself killed. And that's the
he's a liability,
he's going to get somebody else
killed. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Which makes it a perfect.
But yeah.
Well, it turns out to be the latter because they're able to pin something on him that happens to Tim later.
I meant brother to brother. Like, Steven is concerned about Brian's well-being, not that he's going to get someone else killed, that he's going to get himself killed.
But that could be something that.
I mean,
being
Brian
a liability
doesn't get anyone else hurt. In this?
Well, no, but they pin what happens to Tim on him.
Well, kind of, because they were a man short. But I mean, if you're one trainee short, it's not that short. I mean,
right? But I mean, like they in the heat of the moment,
they blame what happened to Tim way more on Steven than they do anyone else.
Right?
Yeah,
I agree with that.
But Steven puts it on Brian.
Axe and Bull were like having that big argument in the hallway, and there was that whole scene where they're all like staring him down when he comes out. Yeah.
But then he puts it on Brian then.
Well, he deflects it himself, he does. But but no one else really believes that.
Right. I mean, just between the brothers, he's not taking the, I mean, but anyway.
Ain't nobody buying that line of reasoning, right? I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
We have skipped over the retirement party for the one guy because this is when Steven blows up the most at the alderman. Yeah. Because he gets drunk. And
dancers. Yeah.
Yeah. And because this is the thing where Adcox, who's Scott Glenn, asks him, it's like, haven't you ever fucking wondered why you're stuck at lieutenant for life? To which drunken Kurt Russell just says, no.
Well, he's not fighting.
He knows.
He's not fighting the alderman. He's fighting a different guy in this.
Yeah, that's
that's right.
He's mad at his ex-wife's
new boyfriend. Yeah,
yeah.
Which is
another fireman, and the alderman is trying. This is when he tries to pull Steve or Brian in and say, "Hey, I have a position for you." Because he wants to attach him kind of as a mole. It doesn't really get explored much. Some of the good stuff that I think could have been in this movie doesn't get explored much. But he's trying to attach him to the De Niro character to have someone on the inside
pushing
these
for
arson investigations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
To push for the cleanup of that.
And Brian's like, fuck you. But we didn't really know. Well, I think we knew, but Steven and his wife have been separated. And Steven is living on his father's boat. And he has all sorts of chemicals on it, which is important to know.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of mysterious chemicals that Adcock says that he needs a place to store them. Yeah. Also, there's a lot of chemicals right in that water that he's staying right next to, too.
Right, they could light that on fire.
They could, probably.
It's Chicago.
Yeah. It's right. I mean,
go up in
Lake Michigan is 100%
shit is in there.
Yeah. I mean, they have to.
Wait,
they have
did
to
you
turn.
Say Dave Matthews shit is in there.
Yes.
That's what I thought you said. I wasn't sure.
If people will remember, Dave Matthews' tour bus dumped shit into the Chicago River.
Well, they have to turn it green every St. Patty's Day to kind of clean. That's cleaner. That's not dye. They're cleaning that shit out.
We covered that too. What movie was that? Oh my God, why can't I remember?
Fugitive.
Yeah, thank you. The Fugitive.
Yeah. Fugitive's a very Chicago movie too.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, so eventually, so I guess we do eventually, before the second backdraft happens, Brian does end up deciding to quit and go to work for Robert De Niro.
Primarily because he froze like Jason would, and Steven acted like Jason or like Jeff and Chuck would when someone needed to be saved.
Rushed in like a motherfucker, yeah.
Sorry, Jason, I had to.
Although that I will say though, him pulling the little kid out with the I mean, that was trailer stuff there. It's like the slow motion of him being the big hero. It's like that's what you build the movie around.
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
he goes in the door. It looks like he's kind of seeing what he saw with his dad, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
and he feels like he's seeing it again, and he's got a little PTSD back from that, and he freezes. Yeah, but he thinks that he lost his dad, or his dad again, his brother. Comes out though holding the kid. Big hero moment, like Jeff.
Which is yes. But it's kind of funny because like it does like there is a good little start to that scene because the mom is outside. It's like, my baby's still in there, and it's like, we know where this is headed. Stuff. Exactly. Yeah. Like it's even shot the exact same. Sam Raimi fucking ripped off Backdraft. It's shot exactly the same. It is. Yeah.
That's called homage, Jeff.
Homage. Fromage.
It's called cheese.
It's a little fromagey, but it's actually, It works, man. It works. Like I said, you put that in the trailer. That's what people are buying their ticket to see is, Kurt Russell, the hero. And then he decides it's like, I froze. I'm no good at this. I'd rather be investigating the fires. And it's the second backdraft that you first see him working with Robert De Niro and actually learning more about fire. Yeah. No, it's in a theater.
Yeah.
Because the guy is going to unlock a door and it blows up. It actually looks, again, maybe Ron Howard ripped off Sam Raimi. It's a little Evil Dead-y coming out of the office there.
It is.
Oh, dang. Anyway.
Wow. It's
Turnabout is fair play, man.
It's mutual respect we didn't know about all these decades.
Yeah. It's like, I'll get you back when I do Spider-Man.
It's hilarious.
OP. Anyway. So, and it happens to be Station 17 that responds to the theater fire. They see that, the Brian is working with De Niro. Now, interestingly, I do think that, and this is something that, we could say is a little undercooked in a sort of way, but he does learn more about fire from De Niro than he does from his crazy brother who thinks like the fire does. It's like De Niro actually shows him a thing or two about the science of fire.
Well, when you're in the fire, yeah, I get you, but yeah, it makes sense because when you're investigating the source of the fire versus fighting it, you do need to know more about fire.
Yeah, but I mean, the big thing that Steven does all through the movie, and he tries to impart onto Tim, is how to be the fire, basically, instead of actually understanding, like, he never really imparts anything to talk about how to fight or how to understand the fire.
Yeah, there's a bunch of dumb lines about, like, don't let the fire see you scared and shit like that.
Yeah. But the things that De Niro says about, like, you kind of have to care for it a little bit. You kind of have to love it a little bit for it to spread or for it to do what you want it to do. That makes a lot more sense in a lot of ways. I mean, Chuck and I see this every year, twice a year at the end of Survivor. Somebody's got to love a fire to win the final challenge.
That's true. That's true. But there's also like
No idea what that means, but okay.
I think it's a theme, but I don't know. That's why this movie almost fails for me. Is that like Steven is very instinctual, like he's going off his feelings, whereas Shadow is more of a understander of what's happening. But they're also underdeveloped in a way, like they should be in a movie like this. But there is like an edge to both of them that's different. So I get what you're saying, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yes, I get what you're saying, Jeff, but I think that there's a reason for that, and it's just not really.
Yeah, and I think it's, like I said, it's a little undercooked, right? I mean,
that you're right in that. We need more fire in this movie.
It's also like it's
cook
things.
Yeah,
De Niro's way of like describing fire as being alive and his metaphors, I think, are a little goofy. I think what he's really trying to say is you have to have a deeper understanding of it than just someone who knows how to put it out. To know how a fire starts, you have to understand not just how fire works and how it spreads and what different accelerants do to it, but you also have to know the mind of the arsonist, right?
And then that's when we go to meet who, Jason?
Hannibal Lecter.
You really should have saved that.
I know. It would have killed both of you. I sent it to them in text the other night after when I was watching this. I was like, oh my God, Donald Sutherland is basically Flammable Lecter.
It's too good.
But he is like exactly. That's what his character is, and it's weird because it came out the same year as Silence of the Lambs.
Just 3 months later.
Yeah, so they didn't really have. I mean, maybe I guess Ron Howard could have seen Maynard,
read the
books, yeah,
read the book, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is. That's what the character is. It's a serial arsonist that they're there to see. The way De Niro puts it is they're doing pest control. And Donald Sutherland plays this character, and he's up for parole. And you don't really get the full like Flammable Lecter stuff yet until later.
Right.
In this scene, it's really just they meet Shadow. You find out that Shadow is the nickname that De Niro, or that Donald Sutherland has for De Niro. It's because De Niro's the one that I guess is one that caught him, right?
Yeah, but there was something. There was one last fire that was so bright that it seared his shadow into the wall behind him.
But it also
caught on fire, but also created a large shadow on the wall, and I think it's when he saved this guy's life, the serial arsonist, is when De Niro like burned his whole back. Yeah.
Because we don't know the extent of his burns, but he's burnt. Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
No, he asks William Baldwin, have you seen him without his shirt? His entire torso is basically burnt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw a glimpse of that earlier in the movie. Yeah. I was like, ooh, what's that about? when we find out. But we find out it's a parole hearing, and the parole board is they're like, cool, like you're gonna get out. You've been super good in jail lately, and your doctors all have thumbs up for you. And at that, De Niro's like, fuck this shit, and he takes this burned doll, and he provokes Donald Sutherland to take his mask off and show the parole board who he really is. And he asks him, what did you do to those little girls? And he said, I burnt them. What do you want to see happen to the world? And he's like, I want to burn it. And then the parole board is like, oh, we got a lot of egg on our faces. And then he says to Flammable, he says, see you next year. It's like, damn. I don't think you get a parole hearing every year, but anyway.
Maybe at a certain point you do. Yeah. I don't know, but Billy Baldwin's going to see him a lot sooner. But we'll get to that.
But it's a good scene. It's kind of a creepy little character.
Well, and it's funny because like
Donald Sutherland is creepy.
He is. He's. In my note is nothing nearly as good as Flammable Lecter, but my note is scary Donald Sutherland. I just went straight for it. I was like, man, I can't be clever here. I'm just going to call him scary.
There's a Backdraft 2 that came out 5 years ago.
He's in it.
He's in it, and he has a much bigger character, and he's so much more flammable Lecter in that. Like, he has way too much knowledge about shit that he shouldn't have knowledge about. And
so like you watched it? I have not seen it.
I watched it, yeah. And it's Billy Baldwin's, it's Sean, the kid, who's the main character, but Billy Baldwin is in it too. He's like the head of the forensic science fire department.
Does he have a mustache?
I don't remember. He probably does, actually. But anyway, it's bad. I don't recommend it at all. It's like, it's super, super terrible.
I'm going to watch it then.
But I think it's one of the last movies that Donald Sutherland made. Like,
bummer.
He's so old in it. Yeah.
But anyway, so basically, they go I don't know. There's a lot of shenanigans that happen here, but there's one point where Billy Baldwin and Jennifer Jason Leigh have sex on top of a pile of hoses. Yeah. And that sounds fun. And that looked kind of fun, and, but then of course there's a fire because of Chicago. Come on, guys. Come on. They're going to need that truck in like 5 minutes. So what are you doing?
I know. It's like, that's going to be the riskiest place to have sex.
I know. In Chicago, of all, like,
the only place riskier would be a factory.
Yes, the thing that's on fire. Yes. Yeah. I mean, you'd have better luck having the sex right in the middle of State Street or whatever in Chicago, downtown Chicago, in rush hour. I mean, damn. It's Chicago. It's hot. It's hot gago. Anyway. So, so like they have the sex,
and that's Backdraft 2 is not the last thing Donald Sutherland made.
Oh, good.
I don't know what he made finally was a very worthy of his talents, but he also was in Moonfall.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not so good. Oof. Anyway.
Yeah, that one's bad. Anyway, I saw that shit in the theater.
Oof.
Yeah. Anyway, although I laughed.
Streaming.
I laughed so hard at Moonfall.
It's a weird one. It's bad.
Anyway, so it's like but this is the big fire where Tim gets his face melted off.
Yes.
What exactly? I don't remember exactly what happened.
So what happened? This was a high-rise fire, which I agree with the one firefighter when he says these are spooky. High-rise fires are freak me out or something like that.
Well, they're all in that elevator like they're the Ghostbusters.
I know it. Yep, they are. It's very Ghostbusters.
Although I do love the line that Kurt Russell had, because Tim asks, like, well, how do we know if we open the doors if the fire is right there? Which, by the way, should they be riding an elevator? I don't know. But anyway.
That's the same question. Like, why are they in an elevator?
Yeah. But anyway, he asked Kurt Russell, like, well, what happens if there's a fire when the door opens? He's like, well, if it's hot, don't get out. But what they do get out on is the floor full of smoke. Again, enclosed spaces full of smoke is difficult to breathe in.
And then this is where we get a little bit more of that cowboy Kurt Russell character, right?
And it's super critical to understanding what is actually going on.
Right.
Even though you don't know it yet.
His big thing is always like, don't split up the team, right? And he did it once in the first fire we see. The second fire we see, when for Billy Baldwin's first fire as a firefighter. But then we see it again here, and Axe isn't having it. Scott Glenn is like, stop it, you're splitting up the team, because Kurt Russell wants to show off a little bit and teach Tim a thing or two. He's like, you want to learn something?
Watch this shit.
And check some doors, right? And he teaches them about, feeling for the heat behind the door, and when you bust the door to make sure you're like, it's kind of like clearing the room almost. You got to bust the door and then
get out of the way.
Get out of the way, right? You don't want that backdraft. Well, they clear a couple doors like that, and then there's this double door down the hallway, and you see Tim about to hit it with the axe, and Kurt Russell says, "Hey Tim, did you check the heat on that door?" Right as he's hitting it, and it's of course explodes like right in his face. But he shouldn't have been on his own, right? Mm-hmm. He should have always, like, what he did was dumb, but that's why you're on probation. You do dumb things, you're going to do dumb things. You're supposed to be with someone's experience to prevent you from doing dumb things.
And maybe not the crazy guy.
And therein is like the problem, right?
Right. Because the thing is about Adcox, Scott Glenn, is that he is the senior guy of that station. He is the guy in charge.
No, he's not the captain.
He's not the captain.
Who's the captain of that?
Kurt Russell he's in charge of 17.
Well, he's only a lieutenant.
Well, he's in charge of 17.
Oh. Well, still, Adcox was fighting fires with his dad when he was still in diapers. It's like, listen to this guy.
Adcox is a senior firefighter and Lieutenant Stephen Bull McCaffrey. So I don't know who the captain of that firehouse is. We never meet them.
They don't list a captain of that firehouse. It's senior firefighter and
that goddamn alderman.
Now, Daddy Mustache Russell, he was a captain.
Yes,
of course he was.
He was
because he was.
And Robert De Niro is a captain.
So what happens here? What we learn is that there is a backdraft setup that the arson has set up. We don't learn how until later. There's a door into a room, and then that room goes into another room. The backdraft is set up into the other room. Mm-hmm. So whomever the mark is, I can't remember who the mark is in this situation, they get backdrafted in their room. And then again, the fire is suffocating for oxygen, and now it's at the outer door. So when Tim opens that door, he gets nuked and his face gets melted, and he goes to the hospital. It is kind of confusing at first because you kind of think like, well, was Tim the mark? And it does add a little suspicion on the captain or
Bull,
Lieutenant, and Adcox a little bit at this point because of how he's acting about trying to keep them from investigating the smoke until they have backup. So I had suspicions about both at this moment, but more so the captain or the lieutenant, excuse me. Sorry.
Well, he's got something that Clint Howard ends up discovering in the first guy's clothing, that there was a peculiar chemical that was burned into that was transferred into this patch of t-shirt that was stuck to the guy's back.
Right.
That is a chemical he had never heard of. And what that, let me see.
Triptochloride was that
I know I've seen this movie before, and I'm not going to blow it right now, but I'll tell you.
Not going to blow it.
That I figured it. Yeah, I'm not going to backdraft this shit. I figured it out at the very, very last possible moment. Before I should have. I know who it is. God damn it.
Because it is, it is flat out told to you. But yeah, he says, I've never heard of this thing. And De Niro's like, oh yeah, it's an old flammable liquid. It's not used anymore. It's been
but they
banned
use
or whatever.
this room at this point, like where this transpired, because we have Tim in the hospital now. He's been like severely, like, dude's not going to be the same. I don't know if he's in Backdraft 2 or not, but he probably doesn't look good if he is.
I don't think so.
But they use this room, and this is where, Jeff, I think you were talking about this earlier, where Shadow was teaching him about fire, teaching Brian about fire and how it works. He actually lights the room on fire and says, you have to know where it wants to go.
Yeah.
You have to feel where it wants to go and
guide it to do the thing you want it to do.
Guide it to do the thing in order to fight it, or in order to determine what caused it or whatever.
And the one thing that he says is that this guy doesn't want it to burn out of control. He does not want this fire to spread. It is a targeted blast, like, almost like a gunshot, right? Like it's not going to be a bomb. It's a gunshot. It's it is.
But it's an accidental gunshot, or like supposed to be an accidental, right? Like,
right. It's supposed to look accidental, but it's not going to spread, which is why he thinks is for certain somebody is starting this, because an accidental fire burns out of control. Right. And it will spread all over the place. These only stay contained to the building on fire. These specific
to which I think Shadow says it's got to be someone that loves fire.
It's got to be somebody who knows fire. Yeah.
Which is a contradiction when we go back to Ronald here soon.
Right. Because he's like, here's what we need to figure out here. We need, it's like basically, I need to investigate more about, because they determined that the fire starts within the outlet. That's where it was set to start.
Right.
And then basically build until it starts to suffocate, and then it explodes with the extra oxygen.
And there's certain chemicals they find there, and then Shadow uses them to create the explosion in a bucket.
Yep.
And he's like, I know what causes this. And then like somebody else dies, and how do we connect this?
Well, because at some point
they realize the people that died are connected. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. So what happens is that Alderman Swayzak starts to get really, really worried, and he's like sleeping in his office. He won't go home. Jennifer Jason Leigh's like, hey, is this something you're not telling me about these fires? And he's like, no, but she steals a bunch of paperwork from some of the stuff that he has to do.
But at this time, you think he's a guilty, participant in the fires.
Right.
Yes.
But what she ends up stealing is a fake report made to determine closure of fire stations for the building of community centers that Swayzak is getting kickback on with these other three guys.
So basically, Swayzak is closing firehouses so they can build community centers. He can make money, and these people can be rich.
Exactly. And that's why he's not going home, because the obviously the people who are dead, he's the last one. So he doesn't want to go home.
He knows he's on that. We still think he's guilty, kind of.
Yeah. But as soon as she gives the stuff to Brian takes it to De Niro, and it's like, oh, he's a target, not guilty. He's a target of this. So they go to his house, where we discover that, yes, indeed, somebody is there to set a fire. He's knocked out. They're setting the fire, and they tussle with the guy who starts the fire, who only gets away after he burns his back on what I call it's the telltale outlet burn.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And he runs off, and then De Niro helps get them out of the house, get Swayzak and Brian out of the house. It explodes, and he lands on a railing that's stabbing through his his
And
left
it
shoulder.
basically takes him out of the rest of the movie. He's not dead.
Takes him,
He's
right.
incapacitated.
He's incapacitated, leaving this entirely to Brian to do the rest of the investigation.
And we know he's going to quit.
He's going to quit. He just like, I can't do this. And he walks out, credits roll, movie's over.
This is too hard for me.
Fucking cue Bruce Hornsby, God damn it. It's over. Anyway.
Listen to the Brian quit.
Did you guys know that Bruce Hornsby is an adjunct member of the Grateful Dead?
Yes, I did know that.
In the late 80s, he played piano for the Grateful Dead.
I did know that.
Into the 90s, Deadhead started to follow him and go to his concerts. And so, yeah. Anyway. So basically, Brian realizes he knows the name of that chemical. It's itching in the back of the head. It's something that is on Steven's boat.
Well, he has to go talk to Ronald first, but
that's right. And Ronald basically, this
is the true flammable Lecter scene, because Ronald's taking him through the mind of the killer, right? And and he's like, am I gonna have to lead you to water, basically? And he's telling him this is a person who hates the fire. They don't let it loose. It snuffs itself out. It's targeting, a person, but a true arsonist would revel in the flames, right? It would not want to snuff the fire out. And then he's like, are you getting this, kid? And he's like, yeah, I'm getting this. And the killer is a firefighter. That's what his dawning moment is. Yeah.
I should.
And he thinks it's his brother because he's seen the chemicals on his boat.
He goes to the boat and he confronts him. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is one thing also, Chuck, you kind of said that it sort of contradicts something that De Niro says. And I'm not sure that's entirely true for a couple of reasons. One, De Niro only says you got to love it a little bit. You got to love it a little bit to understand how to guide and how to keep it aflame, basically. But also, you are looking at it from two opposing sides, where it's like one guy's a firefighter by nature, the other guy's an arsonist by nature. They have opposing views. So one would say, oh, if somebody's an arsonist, they love the fire. But the arsonist is saying if it's a firefighter, that's the arsonist. They hate the fire. There is a little bit. I mean, in a way it contradicts, but also in a way it kind of doesn't.
Sure.
But anyway, So basically he confronts Brian. He's like, what is, it's like these fires, man. It's like you're trying to get back at the alderman, basically. And he's like, what are you talking about? Nah, that's not. But when he starts to go sneaking around the locker room,
he goes to sneak at the locker room and open his brother's locker so he can prove that he is the arsonist. And then he sees Adcox in the shower, and he sees that he has an outlet burn.
Yeah, the telltale outlet burn.
Yeah, wouldn't you think you'd have that covered up with like a bandage or something,
You can't take a shower with a bandage on.
Still, that's going to attract some attention,
Well, it seemed like he didn't know who he was fighting in the house, maybe? I don't know.
No, he didn't. No, the guy was wearing a mask, so he wouldn't have known.
No. I mean the other way.
Oh.
No, he had to.
Like Adcox didn't know. That's the way he was acting. Like he didn't realize. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But when Adcox realizes that Brian's there in the locker room, he does kind of have this look like, well, it looks like I'm gonna have to blow up your apartment.
Yeah, and he goes up and he stands in the window and watches Steven show up and be like, he gets out of the car, he's like, is it Adcox? He's like, I knew as soon as you were looking and snooping at my chemicals that he gave me, it must have been him. And he's like, I'm the captain. I think he says I'm the captain. I'm going to handle this.
Yeah. Well, he's not a captain.
He's not a captain.
But I think he says that in that scene.
I think maybe, but does he say captain or does he say he's he's my responsibility or something.
He might say
Maybe,
that.
yeah. But then there's a big fire that happens that they have to go to, and Brian tags along. And, Steven and Adcox are gonna battle it out over. Sorry. I mean, it's like the fucking first Captain America movie when Red Skull reveals that he's just only wearing a mask of Mr. Anderson or Mr. Smith.
Mr. Anderson.
And he pulls off his face and he's got a monster face on there. And Captain America's like, holy shit, there's a big fire going on down there, but whatever, I'm going to throw my shield at you. Anyway, Backdraft, it sort of works out like that. They're on a catwalk over a fire.
Yes, they are.
Boy.
There's a little bit of Terminator 2 here as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's my last note. Terminator 2 ending.
My last note is railing death.
My last note is cat vomit. So,
my last note is just railing death, because railing deaths are also my favorite deaths in movies.
Actually, my last note is all of a sudden there's a guy named Pangelli. Because they start yelling at this dude that we have no fucking clue who he is. He's like, Pangelli!
He's a firefighter, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but we'd never known who he was before this moment. He's very critical.
Somebody got like their name in the script, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
the producer name or something.
I'm like, who the fuck is Pangelli?
Someone at the studio.
The whole place is on fire, and like there's an out of control hose that Brian decides he's going to go and tackle to help out but Steven and Adcox, like Adcox is like, man, they were killing firefighters. It's like, in a sort of a way, you kind of understand his perspective here. He's probably going about it the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but you kind of get that. I mean, you kind of get it though, right? Like, you
understand the why. Yes.
You understand the why. Hey, Steven, they're killing our guys. And he's like, okay, that's not cool. And then the thing explodes and Adcox starts to fall. And they do the you go, we go thing. And Adcox is like, you know what? I'm going. It's cool. But we also, like, Kurt Russell falls too. And he gets like a big old nasty gash on his.
He has a shorter fall. He falls on another catwalk. Whereas Adcox falls all the way down. Adcox, he's
fucked.
He's got smash cocks. I don't know. I'm glad Jeff thought that was funny.
I liked it. Again, railing deaths are my favorite deaths. I
was trying something.
Yeah. Anyway, but then Brian goes and tackles the out of control fire hose, which that seems as dangerous as a fire.
This is him like self-actualizing.
Yeah, he's like, I'm Captain Man now.
Yeah, he's like, I can do this. I can fuck. The fire looked at me, and I looked at it, and it was good.
I'm a McCaffrey.
And I'm no longer afraid. I've overcome my trauma. Yeah,
I shall never quit again.
Never.
And as far as we know, he doesn't.
I see the face of my father. He has a mustache.
I wish that was in the fire, like his father is like.
Oh my god! Like a
Brian.
Russell mustache. Yeah, in the fire. Yeah,
it deserves it now. Like 30, however many years later, like it should have his face in the fire. It really should.
But you get the next best thing. You get mustache-less Kurt Russell. Big Brother saying something along the lines of
that's my fucking brother.
My fucking brother, yeah.
Yeah.
Like giving him the props as a firefighter that
hey, he finally gets a little bit of oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he still dies.
Oh yeah, he's dead-zo. Yeah, they put him in.
They finally have mutual respect for one another, and then he dies.
Yeah, they respect Knuckles each other, and it's like that's the last thing he does. And then they have the big citywide. And he does make Brian promise that he doesn't out Adcox.
Yeah, it would be bad for the department. He says
It's bad for the department.
Yeah, which probably would be bad.
Probably would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a bigger smug asshole you can bring down instead.
Yeah,
and
did you talk about the conspiracy? Like what was actually happening?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That part out.
You may have gotten that point, but it was like, it was all the stuff that Jennifer Jason Leigh gave to William Baldwin, who gave it to Robert De Niro, and De Niro's like, we got it.
Right. And and it's fraud. They're So
I believe the line he said was, "Tickle my face, mole, you got it."
Yes.
And William Baldwin's like, "Yeah, I did. Thumbs
Robert
up.
De Niro
Freeze."
Mole. It's got to be 10 feet wide.
What is happening?
Oh, a little bit of Weird Al. The period appropriate Weird Al. Anyway, so Chuck looks so confused.
Well, they go.
I know Weird Al, but
they accuse JT Walsh of conspiracy and fraud and defunding the police and defunding the firefighters and costing firefighters' lives. And that's at a big press conference. They make a big scene of it. And he's like, "Oh, I'll have my staff look into this shortly." And he tries to walk away, but the writing's on the wall, like the cat's out of the bag. All those other
euphemisms.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had mayoral aspirations. That is gone now.
Yeah,
that's the key thing. He's done. And and I mean, they have the report. I mean, like, they have a fake report that talks about. I wish
it were as easy as it is in the movies to just like depose people in government who break the law. That'd be nice.
I mean, once upon a time, yeah, but those days are gone, Jason. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and that's, they have the big, there's a big funeral at the end and everything. And, but the next day dawns, and of course it's Chicago. Half of it's going to be on fire. It's the other half that wasn't on fire yesterday. It's going to be on fire tomorrow.
Yep.
And, he's going to go and he's going to teach the young probationary guy how to tie his jacket up like Bull did to him. And, he's going to be the new crazy ass McCaffrey in station number 17.
Yep.
And then Backdraft 2 happened.
Yep.
Yeah. That's honestly the most surprising thing about Backdraft 2 is that there's still buildings to catch on fire in Chicago.
Well, no,
it's not in Chicago anymore.
It's been rebuilt.
It's in Alabama or something.
Yeah.
The whole northern fucking America has been burnt.
Yeah, it's all Chicago's fault.
Yep.
That fucking cow. Might be my best joke ever on that.
A couple of notes that I had here that we didn't really talk about. I did note that, like, in a way, the fire is kind of like Jaws. It's like waiting for people. It's like the whole Backdraft idea is like it's waiting for, because I also said that it's like the fire acts as both, like, it's like conscious while also almost like a ghost. Like there's like it jumps out at you.
It is a little supernatural.
Yeah. And then I also we got David Crosby at the beginning. Hey man, that's all my stuff's up there.
Well, this is hilarious.
I totally missed that too.
Stephanie said, "Oh, David Crosby is a hippie." I'm like, ha 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 ha. Like, you're funny because it kind of looks like him, and it's fucking him.
It is, yeah. Yep.
He's way more observant than me sometimes.
Why is he in that movie? Why?
I don't know. I mean, he had a few days off before
he's
providing the material for Melissa Etheridge's baby.
He's an adjunct member of Backdraft.
Yeah, they're adjunct member of Backdraft. Yeah.
Well, that's true. He is.
Yeah. I don't know. I still like this movie, but it is very much of its era. It's still very much, everything
Did it
that these
create
types
the
of movies
90s
were.
film? It feels like in a way it might have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is just a very classic big studio early summer type movie.
Fucking 90s. And it's so early in the 90s that I feel like it has to have a claim at that.
Well, if it was if it would only be a little bit more 90s if Winona Ryder was there.
Yeah, but she was late 80s. Like in reality.
She was around in the early 90s too.
I think part of it though is we're at that new leap in evolution in visual effects.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's benefiting, I think, a little bit from that, and that's why it's feeling like the '90s movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, the what I always think of is more of a '90s movie, and the reason why I bring up like Winona Ryder, stuff like Reality Bites, those types of talky
that's
movies.
A different kind of '90s movie.
This is more
'90s action.
Yeah, but this is more of like, I mean, this is the stunt and effects extravaganza type of movie, which is they still make those. They just don't.
Yeah,
they're just not shot on film.
Movies in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but like the 90s were younger than the other decades. The other decades were all Woody Allen'd up.
Well, talk to the Last Picture Show then. Come on.
Yeah, but I mean I don't know. You're making a mountain out of a molehill here, but
I mean, this is an early 90s film that feels very 90s action. And it's not like an 80s movie at all.
I don't know. I'd say it's probably more like Top Gun than it is.
I mean, we just compared it to Jaws, too. I mean,
that's fair, too. I mean, decades over decades, we'll do that, right? But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess you guys are the only ones.
I think we're giving it a little too much credit. But it does look great. It does look great.
I think, yeah. I mean, the look of it is like it's very idealized. It's like it's
very 90s. And its actionness.
I will say it's the most Irish and Chicago movie ever made.
Ooh, I don't know. Have to think about that one.
Like, I'm surprised they had that shaggy looking dog thing.
You mean the thing?
And not a leprechaun?
You mean the thing? That was...
I'll feed you to the thing.
I mean, that's a Kurt Russell joke. It has to be.
Well, it also looks like the thing from well, no, I guess that was it, wasn't it?
Yes.
Thing is the hand. And yeah. Well, I think we did it.
Yeah, I still think it's a pretty fun movie. Well worth the watch.
I do too. It was fun. It was fun to watch. Fun to revisit. Even if maybe it doesn't quite hold up to the standard I had put it on many years ago.
That's fair.
But yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, good flick. I mean, fun watch. Great characters, good performances.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about Rebecca De Mornay because she's got really good scenes in this with Kurt Russell. Specifically, I like the scene when they're on the roof.
On the roof?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that scene. I like the first scene that we saw her in when Brian comes over. He sees his nephew.
Yep.
He hasn't seen his nephew any time where his nephew would remember him, so the nephew freaks out.
He doesn't.
Funny. Yeah. But he also doesn't realize that it's like, his brother doesn't live here anymore. They broke. It's like, where have you been, man? You know.
That does more to illustrate. That does more to illustrate their estrangement than anything else in the movie. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. Cool.
Also, that kid is making some funky breakfast for his mom that next morning after.
And he's wearing the Don't Panic pajamas.
Oh yeah, the dinosaur pajamas. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
It's like eggs with the shells and grape jelly.
Grape jelly in the frying pan.
I was like, great. Can't wait.
Yeah. Now I got to go buy all new eggs and grape jelly. Eggs are expensive, kid.
And clean up this mess.
Yes. You suck.
It's a lot. Steven!
There's only one breakfast I've seen worse lately, but I can't remember the movie, so I'm not going to talk about it.
All right.
Not going to talk about that anymore.
We're not going to talk about that one. No. All right.
Not going to do hamster style anymore.
What the fucking movie was that? It's like a whole stick of butter, a bunch of eggs, pancakes, jelly, sugar.
Oh.
You've all just seen this movie that I'm talking about. It's about the mountaineers in the mountain, and the girl shows up, and she's being chased by...
Wait, mountaineers?
They live in the mountain. And the girl, okay, I'm sorry, listeners. The girl is having sex with a guy who ends up being a cop. But you think he's the bad guy to start the movie, but she's the bad guy, and she's called the Electric Lady. We've all just seen this movie.
Oh, has Jeff seen this? You're thinking of Strange Darling.
Yes, I thought Jeff saw that.
No, I have not seen that.
Well, you need to watch it.
Well, you can tell me more about it next week, because you guys know what next week is?
I do not know.
Well, next week we're doing our annual celebration of the previous years. I mean, they can't have the Oscars till we do this. We said we're going to do this on February 26th, and Hollywood's like, cool.
That's good.
Despite the fact that we are burning, our whole entire city's burnt down, we're going to have the Oscars on March 2nd. So we're glad that you guys finally have decided to talk about your best of. And I said, cool.
Yep.
Cool. You can thank us later for it. Anyway, so next week.
I mean, all the odds on Golden. What is that? The Golden Statue website. All the odds change after our episode.
After we have the final word
on
what's going to win.
You'll see
we
the effect
move
of this
markets.
Podcast.
We do move markets. Yes,
move the lines.
I don't know if any of us had a number one of the year that hasn't won an Oscar. I don't think so. I don't think so. Anyway,
I'll have to go back and look.
We'll have to look. But anyway, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. I'm going to say that it is true. Anyway, so next week, it's the best of 2024 here on Film Seizure. Hear us talk about our favorite movies, maybe some of the favorite things that happened over the course of the year. Maybe maybe we'll hand out some CZs. How's that sound?
Interesting.
So that is February 26th. Go to filmseizure.com. Find all the places you can follow us on social media, where you can subscribe to get the show, all of that stuff. That's where you do those things. Also on filmseizure.com, this upcoming Monday, I have a new episode of Monster Mondays, and this week I am talking about Suitable Flesh.
That's a fun one.
That's a fun one.
So we'll get a little H.P. Lovecraft action going on.
I like
there.
all the little Easter eggs in that one.
Yeah. It's fun stuff. So that is all the same places, filmseizure.com. Most important. This upcoming Friday at my website, bmovieanima.com, I have a review of Candy Stripe Nurses.
I would say that's a fun one, but I've never seen it.
I think some of the earlier ones in that series were probably better. So anyway,
were they different kind of striped nurses? Like what?
No, they're just different nurses. It's Roger Corman's whole nurse series. Okay. There was 4 of them. So little exploitation action. All right. So
it's not the Bob Chin porn. Because there's a 1978 movie called Candy Stripers. That's a porn made by Bob Chin.
Yeah. No.
Does it have nurses at the end of it?
Yeah,
well, Candy Stripers.
Yeah, but it's
they're not really technically nurses, but
it's a different title.
Jason's not having this.
No. All right, let's come back next week for our annual best of, and until then, I am Jeff Bullcocks Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Lescox Moore.
I'm Jason Smashcox Oliver. And
You certainly are.
Listening to Film Seizure.